Many countries from all around the world issue out special travel advice to its citizens, essentially stating which countries are safe or dangerous to visit. Obviously, a lot of this comes down to the fact that not every country is friendly with each other. For example, the United States of America is pretty famous for having a sort of a list of countries that the American government does not recommend the American citizens to visit. Here we have a list of all the countries that the American government really does not recommend to visit. So for example, you have Burma, Myanmar, Afghanistan. Makes sense, they don't have the most pro-American governments over there right now, you know what I'm saying? You have a lot of countries of the Middle East here, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran. A lot of countries from Africa, some countries from South America, North Korea, of course. But also among all of these, America does not recommend people to travel to Ukraine, Belarus, or Russia. Obviously because these countries are involved in the war, but also, for Ukraine it's obviously because the country is being bombed daily. And for Belarus and Russia it's more or less understandable too. With all the crazy laws that Russia has been passing, it's not exactly the safest country to travel to for Westerners. And I mean, a lot of people still choose to ignore this advice and actually still do travel to Russia, and a lot of them do end up kind of having fun and having a blast. Some of them do end up getting arrested though, and I've actually talked about this in some of my previous videos. So yeah, all of this is very fascinating, but as a Russian myself and as a Russian citizen, I'm actually quite interested in which countries are safe or dangerous to visit for me. And thankfully, the country of Russia does actually have a list of countries that are considered not safe to visit for Russian citizens, and in general of countries that Russia doesn't like. So, hey there people, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian, and in today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at some of Russia's travel advice, talk about Russia's list of unfriendly countries, and also we're gonna talk a little bit about how Russia is currently acting as a little child throwing a tantrum that is essentially just kind of pissed off and mad at the entirety of the world. So, first of all, let's start with Russia's brilliant list known as the list of unfriendly countries. Yes, this is an official list that the Russian government has created in 2021 and essentially has expanded over the years a couple of times because Russia, for some completely undiscoverable reason, is now completely surrounded by enemies. The list of unfriendly countries actually started out with the Czech Republic, so Czechs in the comments, please applaud yourself. You are the first people to be added to the list of countries that Russia has been triggered by. And this essentially happened in May of 2021, when Russia and the Czech Republic had a diplomatic scandal that I think involved an explosion in an ammunition warehouse in Czech Republic in like 2014. So yeah, Czech Republic was the first to be on the list, and then in 2022, after the start of the war with Ukraine, after sanctions were introduced in Russia, Russia added a lot of new countries to the list of, those that are unfriendly. So let me actually name all of the unfriendly countries according to Russia currently in the year 2025. Number 1 is of course the United States of America. The Yankees have always wanted to destroy us Soviets, so the Cold War is still continuing, you guys. Don't you fret. Right, yeah, by the way, I recorded that part before the entire debacle happened between Zelensky, J.D. Vance, and Trump at the White House, and before essentially Russia and America apparently became best friends, so yes guys, forget about it. America and Russia best friends now. Oceania was never at war with Eurasia. Don't you guys, you know? Nothing has happened, guys. It is all very normal. Number 2 is all of the countries of the European Union. So yeah, I currently live in Portugal, a EU country, so I feel really victimized every single day. Everybody hates me and not a single person has been friendly to me just because I'm Russian. Yes guys, this is definitely what is happening. Then we have the United Kingdom and all of its overseas territories. So yes, not even the Cayman Islands, which is where Russian politicians have had their offshores for years. Not even the Isle of Man, not even Birmingham. None of you Brits are friendly to us. Then we have Japan, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Norway, Switzerland, makes sense that you're European but not European Union, Singapore, the Republic of China, also known as Taiwan, South Korea, Albania, I mean, makes sense, that would... If Russia and Serbia are brothers or whatever, then Albania should be unfriendly to Russia, makes sense. Andorra, the tiny country threatening Russia, Iceland, poor little Iceland, Liechtenstein, Monaco, San Marino, North Macedonia, Ukraine, of course, Montenegro, so yes, even, you know, the Balkans are not safe, even the Balkans have, you know, Russian haters everywhere. And last but not least, Micronesia. Yes, guys, it's either a country that I've never heard about or a country that I've never heard about in the last 15 years. Or maybe perhaps ever, but yes, Micronesia. Что это вообще за хуйня, блять? Я просто хочу загуглить. A bunch of tiny islands that hate Russia. Now you guys might actually wondering, how exactly do countries get added to this list? How do you get on Russia's bad side? Well, it's actually quite easy, because the Russian government actually has 3 criteria according to which countries stop becoming friends with Russia. Number 1 is the countries that have sanctioned Russia and as a result have been sanctioned back by Russia. So that's pretty much the entirety of Europe and the United States and Canada, the West. Then the second criteria is if Russia has some kind of diplomatic dispute with this country and therefore some sort of diplomatic countermeasures have been acted against them once again. This includes once again Czech Republic, the first that it happened to. But also the funniest in my opinion is number 3, which is the newest. A country is considered unfriendly if it's quote-unquote pushing values that go against traditional Russian values. Yes, this is actually part of a recent thing where Russia passed a new law in which it invited Western conservatives to move to Russia, and Russia essentially stated that, now if people from the West are feeling censored and downtrodden by the Western degeneracy, you know, essentially Western values, homosexuality, neoliberalism, that was also one of the things that was mentioned. If you're a conservative and your country is attacking your conservative rights by pushing wokeness, then you can move to Russia, because Russia is a traditional country that respects conservative values. Just the most insane law of all time. It's laughable. And actually, guys, out of all the European countries, Slovakia and Hungary were not included in the list of countries that are pushing destructive liberal degeneracy onto its people. And out of the NATO countries, Turkey was also not included in this list. The United States, though, is on this list, which is kind of funny to me because now in the US, you know, Trump is saying that there's only 2 genders, they signed a law about that and stuff, so honestly, now I'm expecting Russia to remove the United States from this list because honestly, their ideology and, you know, their values are not even that different anymore. So yes, as a general rule, Russia really does not recommend people to visit these unfriendly countries because supposedly these countries have an agenda against the regular Russian citizens, and that's why you should avoid these, you know, Western hellholes. So here I am on the website of the Russian Foreign Ministry with warnings for Russian citizens trying to go to other countries, and they release these pretty often. And for example, recently in December of 2024 they released this one, which is a warning for Russian citizens that are trying to go to the United States of America against possibly being detained or like arrested by the United States police or the United States Special Services, and they're essentially doing some grade A fear mongering. As part of increasing confrontation in Russian-American relations, which are almost on the brink of complete destruction, which is a fault of Washington, visits to the United States may be very risky. They're essentially saying here that Russian people are like hunted in the United States and are getting arrested everywhere. And they're essentially saying you also should not go to the United States and also satellite states and allied states of the United States, such as Canada and the European Union. And it's just like absolutely schizo, in my opinion. While you are abroad, please try to avoid situations during which you could become a victim of a provocation and being arrested under the pretense of breaking local laws. If there are some sort of signs of some specific interest towards you, with somebody inviting you for a meeting and discussing certain conditions of possible cooperation or possibly getting a job for a very big sum of money or big remuneration, you need to immediately cut all the contact and, without losing any time, get back to your motherland. Motherland spelled with a capital M, by the way. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So they're basically saying that every single Russian is getting, like, reached out to in the United States, asking them to be a spy or whatever. That's what they're saying here. Like, what kind of KGB uncle wrote this? And also, just this text shows the degradation of, like, Russia's entire diplomacy and foreign affairs, you know? You need to cut all contact and without losing any time, get back to your motherland. The phrase get back to the motherland being used in an official warning towards, you know, tourists trying to go to the United States is crazy to me. Like, this is not normal. It should say something like, get back to the territory of the Russian Federation, not get back to the motherland. What is this Soviet bullshit, man? It's insane. And overall, most of the travel advice that Russia gives out has this insanely weird sort of paranoid vibe to it. Like, for example, this right here is an article that is an interview with a pretty major member of, like, the Russian Foreign Ministry. And it's essentially an interview about the upcoming, at the time, 2024 Olympics in Paris and about what Russians could expect, you know, going to Paris and trying to visit Europe or whatever. And so it's, you know, pretty basic here, but this is the part that I want to show. Here they ask the question, are there going to be any particular recommendations for Russian citizens that are trying to visit the Paris Olympics despite the very heated political situation? Is there a big probability of different provocations against Russian citizens? Essentially, he just says regular stuff that you should, watch out for, like, terrorists or whatever, but when it comes to possible provocation against Russian citizens, of course, this is something that needs to be considered when you're trying to consider visiting France. The current French government has a very unfriendly policy towards our country, and the French mass media are very deeply plagued by aggressive Russophobia, which negatively impacts the overall atmosphere in France towards Russians and its citizens. And then he says here that, for example, Russian symbolism was forbidden from the Olympics, and also the mayor of Paris said that Russian sports people would not be welcome, which essentially breeds a great environment for many sort of provocations against Russians. So yes, essentially, Russian citizens, you have to know that everybody all around the world hates you, everybody wants you dead or whatever, and quite frankly, visiting these unfriendly, terrible Western hellholes is not something that a real Russian patriot should consider. Stay in Russia, please be silent, and please continue to obey the Putin regime, because of course the Putin regime really loves the Russian people and is really, caring about their needs and stuff. Like, it is a little bit embarrassing in my opinion, and also, during the Paris Olympics, there were no provocations against the Russian people specifically, or Russians or whatever. The only thing that the Paris Olympics did to Russia is that Russia was having like an anti-woke tantrum about it, saying how the Olympics are gay now and stuff on Russian television, showing how, the West is destroyed by degeneracy. Yeah. It is very sad that this is essentially Russia's modus operandi, right? The Russian government, goes crazy, starts a war, kills a bunch of people, and then they're like, why is everybody mad at us? We're just a wholesome country trying to exist, and everybody's being so unfriendly. Honestly, guys, I expected more from the benevolent West. Yeah, it is pretty sad, and honestly, being a Russian myself, a Russian citizen who has visited a bunch of these countries listed in this list of unfriendly countries, I can't exactly say that they're particularly unfriendly. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I'm just like those Americans that are visiting Russia, trying to be a contrarian, because I'm not gonna let my government tell me what to do. But anyways, guys, I guess that's going to be pretty much it for today's video, though. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know what you think about you being a citizen of an unfriendly country towards Russia. If you guys enjoyed this video, of course, subscribe for more. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and also if you want to support me additionally, then you can go over to the link down in the description to become a YouTube member. It is like YouTube's own version of Patreon. It's the best way to support me. It's a monthly donation type of thing, or if you want to do a one-time donation, you can do a super thanks underneath this video. Thank you, unfriendly citizens, for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.